Let's talk about the Bhima Koregaon case. And just ignore my beard, it was one of the biggest mistakes I've made till now. One of the 3 mistakes of my life, this will be one. So just ignore the beard. The Bhima Koregaon or the Elgar Parishad issue has been a very complicated issue. The violence which happened on 1st January 2018 cost the life of one. We'll go into the history, the violence, then the plot to kill Modi, the people in jail and late Stan Swamy, and in the end we will discuss the tampering of this evidence related to this case. Now Bhima Koregaon has significant importance for the Dalits. On 1st January 1818, more than 200 years ago, when Jaggi Bhai thought people had less IQ, that time, hundreds of Mahar soldiers of the East India Company led by the British fought a battle against the Peshwas and defeated the Peshwas, which was led by Peshwa Bajirao II. Not to be confused with this Bajirao. And this happened in Koregaon Park, where people usually go to party. Sorry, the village is actually situated next to Pune, a few kilometers from Pune, and that place is called as Bhima Koregaon. It's a village, not Koregaon Park, where we go to party. So this victory is quite significant in the Dalit history, and the Dalits don't see this history through a narrow lens of, nationalism versus the British or India versus the British, but they saw this as a victory against the injustices done by the Brahmanical Peshwas. Let's run the hashtag UAPA on Mahars. I'm pretty sure that will happen now. So Ambedkarites usually gather every year on 1st January at the Vijay Stambh, the victory pillar, which was set up by the East India Company to honor the soldiers for fighting the battle and unknowingly defeating the Peshwas in 1818. And it mentions all the names and all of these people who fought for them. So they take it as a victory against their suppression. But whether this history can be brought up now to promote Dalit politics is debatable. 1st January 2018 marked 200 years of completion of the victory over the Peshwas by the Dalits. So there was huge gathering, and a conference was organized at Shaniwar Wada in Pune, which was called the Elgar Parishad. It was attended by the Dalits and the Bahujan Samaj, and the agenda of this conference was to speak up against Hindutva politics and how much division they have been doing. Obviously, no shit. And they powerfully projected Hindutva politics, calling it as Neo-Peshwa, the new Peshwas. Jignesh Mevani, former journalist and lawyer activist turned politician, and then Prakash Ambedkar, the grandson of B.R. Ambedkar, were invited to this event. The comparison of Hindutva and Peshwai annoyed many right-wingers. Like, what doesn't annoy right-wingers? Everything annoys right-wingers. Gobar pe kuch to bol do, direct jail.
मुझे भी सरप्राइज है.
There is another place near Bhima Koregaon called Vadhu Budruk. Vadhu Budruk was the place where Sambhaji Maharaj, the eldest son of Shivaji, was cremated after being killed by the Mughals in 1689. As the story illustrates, Sambhaji was cut into pieces and thrown into the river by Aurangzeb. Then there was a person called Govind Mahar, a resident of Vadhu Budruk, who got his body parts together, put them together, and then cremated him. So Sambhaji's memorial was said to be erected by the Mahars of that village. And afterwards, Govind Mahar's tomb was also erected in the village after his death. Now, a few days before the violence happened, a few upper caste Marathas were like, Mahars, and cremated Sambhaji with their own hands? Hell no. So they didn't want to acknowledge the fact that Govind Mahar and the Mahars were responsible for the cremation of Sambhaji. And there was a sign put up near the memorial narrating the story, and these upper caste Marathas had a problem with it. So they went to file a police complaint. Yeah, boy. So the violence at Bhima Koregaon was also linked with this case at Vadhu Budruk, where these small problems were going on. Now, me being a Maratha myself, I find it really shocking for what Shivaji's principles were and how it's being shattered by the Hindutva politics. It's really weird. So knowing all this history, the clash happened and the violence happened and cost the life of one and 5 others were injured. These clashes were between the Dalits and the right-wingers. Now let's come to post-violence. And one thing you must remember is that in Maharashtra at that moment of time, BJP was in power and Devendra Fadnavis or Tarbuja was the chief minister.
मी
An FIR was filed saying that the Elghar Parishad was organized by the banned Naxalite groups. The police said that the speeches made at Elghar Parishad were partly responsible for the violence. Pune police claimed while carrying out the investigation, it had stumbled upon material that provided clues about the operations of a larger underground network of banned Naxalite groups. Kya baat? India just loves conspiracies. Now, this was the time when prominent activists and lawyers started getting arrested, with emails and letters being provided as evidence. And these activists have been fighting for their people since a very long time. Gautam Navlakha, Anal Tentumde, Sudha Bharadwaj, Rona Wilson, Stan Swami, Varvara Rao, and many others, and they are still in jail, and one killed by a justice system. Now, the Pune police said that these activists were linked with the Maoists, and they were planning to destabilize the nation and work against national security, and also to assassinate Narendra Modi ji. So UAPA was filed on them. Now in the investigation, the Pune police found various letters and emails and all that saying that they were chatting with the Naxalite groups. Then the police found a letter where it mentioned that, Rona Wilson is in touch with these Naxalites and how they're planning to, destabilize the nation and assassinate Modi ji the way they did it with Rajiv Gandhi. Not they, the way it happened with Rajiv Gandhi, the similar way, just do it with Modi. And then also asking for arms and ammunitions. This was really shocking because in letters and emails, who asks for arms and ammunitions and talks about assassination, man? How will the email even be? Dear comrade, I hope this email finds you in good health. I'm writing this email with utmost regard for your contributions to the society, owing respect to your proprietary technology of manufacturing arms and ammunitions. I will need some AK-47 and also some bullets and bombs to kill Modi the Rajiv Gandhi style. A good initiative for Make in India. Regards, Rona Wilson. Yeah, and also let me know if cash on delivery is available. Who the fuck asks for arms and ammunitions on emails or letters? Not that I know how they ask. Please don't arrest me. Please. But it will definitely not be on emails and letters. Now let's come to Stan Swami. Even he was arrested citing letters and emails found on his computer. Before we get to the tampering of evidence and all that, let's just look at it without that tampering. Stan Swami was a priest and a tribal activist for decades, and he had been fighting for the rights of tribals since a lot of years. He was 84 years old, he had Parkinson's disease, he couldn't hear properly, and he had various other ailments. Now this guy was plotting to kill Narendra Modi and destabilize the nation. Hey, yaar. He was denied bail multiple times because the NIA said that his ailments aren't proven. But obviously, it is going to be acting. Next Oscar is going to go to Stan Swami. And then he ultimately contracted COVID. And his situation worsened and ultimately passed away due to a heart attack. And the worst part was that Stan Swami had Parkinson's and couldn't hold a glass to drink water. So he demanded for a straw sipper to drink water from or just drink stuff from. For that also there was court hearing and he was left without a straw sipper for weeks altogether. What the fuck, man? What is he gonna do with the straw sipper? He's gonna be like that person from Shawshank Redemption, escape the jail with a straw sipper and then ultimately hit the straw sipper on Modi ji's head and kill him or? Arey yaar, ye kya hai? Our justice system is so ridiculous, man. I think it was good actually, you don't have to anymore suffer the justice system of our country, which is gone for a toss already. Who has faith in that nonsense anyway? Good job, and it's a shame on India. And after Stan Swami's death, Chutiyas like Vivek Agnihotri started promoting his book. Said that, this is the right time to promote his book. Kya baat bhai? Who says facts are facts? Now let's come to the planting of evidence. The activists said that they have nothing to do with these emails or letters and they don't know they existed. And nothing to do with the violence in Bhima Koregaon either. Now Arsenal Consulting, a Massachusetts-based digital forensic team, a very reputed firm, was approached by lawyers of Rona Wilson, and Surendra Gadling. These were the activists who were in jail regarding the Bhima Koregaon case. Arsenal Consulting examined electronic tapes of the computers as well as email accounts belonging to two activists and concluded that the emails and letters which linked them to Maoists and plans to overthrow the government assassinating Modi on these activist computers were planted by the same hacker. This raises so many questions on this case altogether. A malware was put onto their computer which apparently might have gotten because they clicked on some link, and this helped the hackers to do continuous surveillance on them and even plant anything whatever they want. So people, please stop opening random emails and clicking on links, especially boys. See some hot girl pics and go and click it. Waisa mat karo bhai. Arsenal Consulting said that this was one of their worst cases they have dealt with and one of the worst cases of evidence tampering they have ever seen. But credits were due. This is Modi ji's Digital India. So this is possible. Good initiative in Digital India. Good job. And as long as the activists are concerned, they are still in jail, and I feel they will continue to be in jail because our justice system is the best. And our UAPA is even bestest. This whole incident raises so many questions on UAPA and also the NIA. I've already made a video on UAPA and the history of it and how it was made stricter and stricter over time. You can go and check it out. And hope you have understood everything. And that's about it. Thank you everyone for watching the video. See you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.